The first question is coming from one Nanyak Njin. And Nanyak Njin is asking this question from Jos, Plateau State. He said, Honorable Minister, Mr. President recently launched the biggest campaign for youth participation in sports. How do you intend to attract or mobilize the youths to be part of this campaign? Then another question from Mr. Emmanuel James from Lagos is saying, what specifically do you want to achieve in the current reform in the Nigerian Premier League? Another question goes this way. Honorable Minister, you have recalled the Secretaries of Sports Federation, who are staff of the National Sports Commission. What are the reasons for this recall? Concerned sports person. He didn't give us his name. And then from Shegun Adebi from Lagos, he said, what are you doing in the boxing arena to bring up more talents? Because nothing much seems to be said about the boxing field. The last question is coming from Ladi Isa from Ilorin. She said, what are you really doing in the area of athletics high performance center in this country to meet up with the others?
Good presentation, Mr. Minister of Sports. My question, or rather contribution, and also a plea to the Honorable Minister, is that please, what is the status of hockey as a game in this country? Because the present day Hockey Federation, the Hockey Federation Board, has failed woefully. What is the ministry doing? Then this one is also by SMS. Why can't we Nigerians watch major football competitions on our local TV stations as it was in the past days? We have another one. Why are our national stadia not functioning well and maintained properly, like the National Stadium in Abuja? Something should be done, sir. Onyema Roy Stanley in Lagos. Why is the concentration of football, why is more concentration being placed on football rather than other areas of sports? Osama Obasui. Then this one is also an SMS question. Why is it that you do not appoint experienced old participants in sports to head sports units? And then we have another one. This one is in Hausa. I'll read it in Hausa and quickly translate. Mai girma Sports Minister, tambaya na shine me ake ciki akan maganan Osaze. Muna son dawowar shi, nagode daga Ibrahim Al-Lafia. He's saying what is being done about bringing back Osaze to the Green Eagles. And then this one is, what are you doing, sir, to create local leagues for other sports to encourage athletes, particularly volleyball, which is my game, to do well in international competitions? Thank you, Azuka Daniel in Imo State.
Well, thank you very much. The floor is now open. And as usual, I would start with the media. Media, please come forward. Media, quickly, please. Okay, anybody now, anybody.
Romanus Suku is my name. I write for the Sun and Soccer Star. Honorable Minister, anytime I listen to you, I receive message of hope. I am particularly impressed with what we have done with sports in Nigeria. Honorable Minister, my question is in two folds. The first one is, considering the violence that is creeping into our league now, when will this partnership with AFCC begin to function. Again, sir, you dwelt so much on accountability, and it's embedded in the transparency of Goodluck Jonathan. Sir, you are aware that the immediate past president of NFF is still in court over certain amounts. That's, I'm talking of Sani Nulu. He has said that he left 2.8 billion naira in the coffers of the NFF. Sir, do you have any plan of setting up a committee to look into that case? Thank you very much.
But if the case is in court, won't it be sub judice?
Okay, my name is Lovett Oji Lobi, AD News, Abuja Broadcasting Corporation. Thank you, Honorable Minister, for bringing good luck to the Sports Ministry. Capacity building can motivate and clear rustiness in the human capital in your ministry. What is your plan for staff training? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. We want to make an appeal. My name is Pastor Jason Mora, National President, Youth Organization for Unity and Total Harmony of Society. And our appeal is that we, civil society organization, we are not here to downgrade anybody or embarrass anybody. We are here to serve as your mirror, so that since you don't see yourselves, we see you, then we show you what you're doing wrong, then you could do it right, and you excel, and the glory will be yours, and that of the administration. So now, my question, I want to thank the Honorable Minister of Sports. The following questions I have are this. Since the Honorable Minister of State Finance is still here, sir, we do not have to manage debt when we can pay them.
Okay, please, next person. Next person. Thank you. Next person.
Please, to the point. Our airtime is running out. Please.
Thank you, Honorable Sports. I have three questions. Tolokwewa is my name. I'm from a non-governmental organization. First, Honorable Sports, I want to ask, what are you doing about the National Institute of Sports? Is there any structure in place to revive it? Secondly, why do you know so about manpower in the sports administration in Nigeria, especially at the university level? Do you have Institute of Sports attached to universities or higher institutions of education? Then thirdly, what about our sports facilities? Is there any structure in place to concession them to private investors who can use them for various events across Nigeria? Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Joseph Chinedu, non-state actor. I want to thank the Honorable Minister for his achievement so far. But I want to ask one question. In developing youths, what is there for boxing? Because boxing seems to be lagging behind. And they propose, I've read some adverts about the Guinness World Record fight. What is happening about that fight? I want to know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. My name is Michael Opasi, OTF. My question is the decision to withdraw secretaries from sporting federations. Or we do know that some sporting federations secretaries are still working skeletally. What is the plan, or when will it take effect fully? I'm talking about the withdrawing of secretaries. Thank you so much.
Yeah, this is the last one.
My name is Mazi Chidikuko from Naya Africa. Honorable Minister, sir, you mentioned difficulties Nigerians are having overseas who went to try their luck in some countries you mentioned, and I have some even in Vietnam struggling to survive in the name of football. Back here at home, do you have that grassroots, what we call sports academy policy that will set standard for those who want to invest in this area, so that our youth who want to play football from kindergarten level have a place to go, train, have some sponsorship before they become better material to go to retail clubs abroad? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please permit me to now request the Honorable Minister of Sports to come back to the podium to respond to the questions raised. Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ministers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. There are so many questions here. I'm not surprised given the passion that Nigerians always have for sports, so I must thank all of you that have come out to ask questions, which I consider to be part of your contribution to this process. The first question is on rhythm and play. How do we want to use, get to the youth or drill down what we have achieved? One of the things that I must emphasize is that the rhythm and play initiative covers young people between the age of 17 and 12. If you look at the age of 17 and 12, these are young people who should still be in junior secondary school. So we are using the school system to deliver on the targets of rhythm and play. And that is why we are working with the Federal Ministry of Education, we are working with the state ministries of education, and we are working with the directors of sports in all parts of the country to deliver on the rhythm and play. Therefore, it's a youth initiative program. But when I say youth initiative or young people's initiative, I don't mean those who are in the university or even in the higher institution of learning. What do we want to achieve with the reform of the Nigerian Premier League? The vision that we have for Nigerian Premier League, I must say, is inspired by what other countries at similar level of development has been able to achieve with their league. It may interest us to remember that South African League is regarded as the sixth biggest league in the world. South Africa does not have our population. South Africa does not have our talent. There's no reason. South Africa does not, as a matter of fact, have our history in football. There's no reason, therefore, South Africa should have the kind of league that they have, and Kenya having the kind of league that they have, and Nigeria will still be wallowing where we are without a sponsorship for the Nigerian Premier League. This is unacceptable, and it's what all of us who are involved with football should be embarrassed about. Therefore, the reform of the league is to turn around this status quo and ensure the Nigerian league becomes one of the most competitive leagues in on the African continent. Again, if you want to know the details of what is being done on the reform of the league, we'll be happy to make this available. It's on our website, and we'll also be happy to make it available as requested. On the recall of the secretaries, I resumed at the National Sports Commission about 3 months before the Olympics. Therefore, when what happened at the Olympics happened, one of the questions, I started asking a lot of questions. And one of the complaints I was getting from the Federation is that the National Sports Commission was not allowing the federations to do their job. The National Sports Commission sent secretaries to them, imposed secretaries on them, and these secretaries are not loyal to the leadership of the Federation, to the National Sports Commission. Therefore, the National Sports Commission is the player and at the same time the umpire. I felt this was wrong. We cannot be playing in the game and be the referees at the same time. And that's why we said the autonomies that the federations want, we will give it to them. And that's why I said all the secretaries that were posted from the National Sports Commission to return to the National Sports Commission. And the federation should have the power and the autonomy to employ their own secretaries based on pre-established or functioning as federation secretary. Please tell me today and we'll take the right action. What are we doing about boxing? And that also is related to the question that you asked about the Guinness boxing fight that my brother, champion Bashali, has labored so much about to get federal government support. It's quite unfortunate, I must use this opportunity to say it's quite unfortunate, because as you are all aware, there have been issues around this Guinness fighting. We definitely want to help our own. Bashali especially is one of the greatest that this country has produced. But there are rules that must guide everything. Government resource can only be deployed within pre-established regulations. If we get funding for sporting activities, such fund is for amateur boxing, not for professional boxing. Anywhere in the world, professional boxing is funded by the private sector. We've tried so much to explain this. His Excellency, Mr. President, wants to help. But if this money is not budgeted for, where will the President get it? So it's quite unfortunate that this is getting messy and people are showing interest who don't know what has happened. But the point is that we want to help to organize professional boxing. But we have mandate within which we can operate. Thank you very much. On amateur boxing, I said we are going to hire a national performance director for boxing. We have signed an MOU with the Cuban embassy. The Cuban embassy is going to deliver to us a national coach in boxing. And we are going to hire a national performance director for boxing. That we have concluded we are going to get this national performance director on ground before the end of August. And these individuals will be responsible for the development of boxing at all levels in our country. I've spoken about the High Performance Center for Athletics. The High Performance Center, like I've said, by the grace of God, will be on ground by August this year. We have gone far in the process. We are not going to build a High Performance Center that's just, it's also going to integrate sports science, physiology, and physiotherapy, and sports medicine, and even specialized accommodation for athletes in a way that enables us to control not only what they do, but also what they eat, and be able to monitor and manage their preparation. And we are going to get that on ground, like I said, on schedule. On the welfare of football players in the league, the league management company has announced that the target that they have set is that the minimum wage for players who play in Nigerian league will be 250,000 naira in the first instance. 250,000 naira is like $2,000 US. We believe that anybody that hires any young person to play football in this country in the Premier League should be able to pay $2,000. As of course you know, this required negotiation because of all the clubs, 20 clubs in the Premier League, only 2 are privately owned, 18 are owned by the state government. So this requires a lot of, but what we have said is that 250,000 will be the minimum wage for players. This, of course, we are still discussing. The development of other sports, lawn tennis, swimming, table tennis. I've said earlier that we are going to create equal opportunity for all sports to grow. And I'm surprised when someone says we are still paying attention only to football. We're not paying attention only to football. In fact, personally, I derive pleasure in attending other sports competition apart from football. I spent yesterday attending a cricket game in Abuja. I was in the lorry and worried for athletics. So in the National Sports Commission, we are trying to create a situation that will give open platform for all sports to grow. And that's why we say we are going to we have created a fund that all sports can apply to use, regardless of whether they are part of the Olympic sport or not. Why don't we employ old and experienced administrators? Of course, if they are old and experienced administrators that can add value to what we are doing, we want to employ them. But I've said earlier here that I'm not in a position to employ anybody. The National Sports Commission is not in a position to employ anybody. My DG here cannot come and say, look, Minister, I found one person that is so good, we can't employ. So asking us why you are not employing is like blaming the victim. So I can assure you that we are hoping the National Sports Commission bill will be passed and will be in a position to reverse this trend. My time should almost be up, but I must talk about the NIS. Other countries that have developed sports have used their Institute for Sports, whether it's Great Britain or even South Africa or even Australia. The Nigerian Institute for Sports was inspired actually by the Australian Institute for Sports. And the Nigerian Institute for Sports have played roles over the years, producing coaches and sports managers. But the preoccupation that we have at the moment is to position the Nigerian Institute for Sports to be at the heart of sports development, especially elite athletes development in the country. We've started work on this. We have set up a visitation panel to the NIS. We are waiting for the report of that visitation panel. Our hope is that when the visitation panel presents its report, it will show us clearly the direction to go. But definitely, we cannot hope to develop Nigerian sports without strengthening the Nigerian Institute for Sports. But whether the NIS as it is presently run, with the philosophy that drives it at the moment, can deliver on national expectation is a different ballgame. But we shall not hesitate to redefine the mandate of the NIS. And I'm glad the director is here. We've been working very closely, and he understands the perception and the preoccupation that we have, that the NIS has to be at the center of our elite athletes development, and everybody is working together on this. So I'll stop here. I thank you very much once again, everyone. Honorable Minister.
We thank the Honorable Minister. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I also want to appreciate and recognize the presence of Bash Ali, our boxing champion, who is here with us. Sir, you're most welcome. Thank you very much. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we'll now invite the Honorable Minister to do the concluding remarks. Honorable Minister, information.
Fellow Nigerians, here at the National Press Center, as well as around the country and around the world, let me invite you specifically today to continue to reflect on the progress our country is making. That is why we are doing this ministerial platform. It is the first of its kind where a government opens itself up for assessment. We are confident that what our country is witnessing today is progress in all sectors. The sporting sector, we have seen that under President Goodluck Jonathan, Nigeria has moved, like the Minister of Sports once told us, from zeros to heroes. Our sportsmen and women are moving from zeros to what? Heroes. In football, we were dejected. Now we are champions in Africa. We are champions, Nations Cup. We are second runners up under 17. We are runners up Falcons. So for both boys and girls, Nigeria is again leading the continent, giving confidence to our young people, telling them that they live in a great country that can conquer. And that is exactly what the Minister of Sports has done in a very, very short time. Let us congratulate him for his good work in the sports ministry. But all this is happening because the president is focused on sports. This is the reason President Goodluck Jonathan is focused on sports. The first president who call stakeholders together and say, look, when we fail, we shouldn't blame anybody. We should go and look at the system. We should see why we have failed. And the national retreat that the president organized is now giving the nation the right answers and we're seeing the right results. Before now, sports was football, was just about football. Now, because of that retreat and the reorganization that is going on in the sports federations, we are seeing that Nigeria has become, within the first period, double champions for both senior and junior athletic championships in the continent. Let me again say we are champions, senior athletic competition, we are champions also junior athletic competition in Africa. This is happening within the same year that the president reorganized the sporting sector. So for those who think we are only focused on football, you can see now that sports is growing in almost all the competitions. But I must give it to the Minister of Sports. You can see that superior management has come on board, greater, more focused leadership. Look at the the funding arrangements before you are funding federations. Now, under the new leadership and direction in sports, we are funding sports that must win. We are funding sporting activities rather than the management of federations. So, and again, the more you win, the more money you get. That again encourages every person participating in sports to go for medals. And I think I must congratulate you for this innovation that is coming on board. But I will want to, again on sport, draw attention to the National League. The minister said that integrity must lead in sports. It's not only in sports. Everything we are doing, integrity is very important for results. Now, for the first time, for people who ask for accountability, now the federal government is inviting EFCC to participate in monitoring how our sports are officiated. And this is to tell you that this accountability is about what you do in every sector to ensure that people give you results. So if any umpire, for example, goes to a football pitch and rules not on what is going on the ground, he will be going to EFCC to ask to give reasons why a particular match was lost not by the players but by the umpire. Now again, that tells you that with accountability we can go far. Now with this, we are seeing that our local league is moving better, and that is why in South Africa we have the highest number of local players playing in the national team in a continental championship. And you remember that the winning goal in South Africa was scored by a local player in our national league. That is what every country should do. We want to commend you on this. But importantly, getting cases out of court, organizing transparent elections in the sporting federations. You cannot see the results. When you bend the rules, you will not have results. When you keep the rules in every sector, every human activity, you are going to have results. So since those people who were unruly left the courts because the elections are more transparent, you now see that we have not lost a single match since people left the court. So actually, we are losing matches because of management issues, lack of transparency in elections, infighting among officials. So the fighting has gone back to the football pitch and we are now winning all the matches. This is how it should be. So therefore, we want to congratulate Mr. President, we want to congratulate the sports minister, and indeed the young men and women that are making the difference, our sporting administrators. Please let us move Nigeria forward by doing what is right. And sports is important about assessing the integrity and seriousness of a nation. That's why when Germans go to a competition, you can be sure they will read the last four. When Italians go to any sporting competition, particularly football, you can be sure they will be in the last four. It's not because of anything. It's because of national commitment. And it is in sporting that young people will be committed, have patriotism. Because when Nigeria wins and our flag is up, the entire nation is united, and our children know that they can also win in the banks, win in the economy, win in agriculture. So that is what it does. But the most important story today is the story of the economy. Now for those who go home always criticizing without reference to the reports we give, you can see today clearly that Nigeria has moved from the backwaters, which was the situation under military rule, but particularly in the last 2 years of the president's leadership, we are now the fastest growing economy consistently for all the period President Goodluck Jonathan has been president of Nigeria. The fastest growing economy in Africa, and also overtaking other economies like Russia, like China, like Russia, Brazil, South Africa, we are leading, even India. We are now growing faster than the India economy. And also for the first time in many decades, our economic growth has outpaced our population growth. While population growth is about 2.5%, economic growth is 6.7%, mostly going to be higher by the end of the year. Now this shows that our country is stable and it is moving, and that it is being properly managed. I understand that the president meets almost every month with the economic management team. He sits with them to check records in every sector, check targets, check policies, check flow of financing, check management. Now that is why the economy is growing. Now I think we must be proud of our country, and we must be very proud of this president. You can also see that apart from GDP growth, inflation has come down to single digit. For many years, inflation was always double digit in Nigeria. Now we are slightly just about 9.2%. This is great for the Nigerian economy. Jobs are growing, the economy is growing, the sectors are growing. Institutions that will lend money on a sustainable basis are being put in place to grow the Nigerian economy. So the largest market in Africa, the most populous country in Africa, potentially the greatest nation in this continent, we are now moving to become the true giant we should be in the economic place. And I think this president and all of us Nigerians, we must be proud of ourselves and work harder to ensure that our country in the next decade will not only come #1 in Africa, but that globally attention is now coming to our country. Kudos to Mr. President, kudos to our managers of the economy, Dr. Iwala and Dr. Ngama, and indeed also kudos to our sports. So therefore, we are winning. This is the good luck story. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, the Honorable Minister of Information, for those concluding remarks. May I quickly now invite the Permanent Secretary, Federal Minister of Information, to please come forward and give the vote of thanks. Permanent Secretary.
The honorable ministers here present, my colleague, the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Finance, the Director General, National Sports Commission, members of the Fourth Estate of the Realm, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I would like to start this vote of thanks by first thanking God for a number of things we take for granted, such as the gift to us of our nation, Nigeria. Rich endowment in people renowned with abilities, vast natural resources to meet our needs and be of value to humanity, and of course, clement weather conditions. Especially, let me thank the leadership of the present administration in the person of President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan GCFR for striving to put in place actions and mechanisms that will transform our dear country Nigeria into a truly peaceful land of both mercantile and industrial prosperity with international clout and frontline role play. Today, the Honorable Minister of Finance, who is the coordinating minister for the economy, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, and the Honorable Minister of Finance, State, the Honorable Minister of Sports, Mallam Bolaji Abdullahi, have each expectedly enunciated landmark progress and achievements recorded in their respective domains. It goes without saying that both the Federal Ministry of Finance and the National Sports Commission bear direct impact on the lives of our people. An economically unhealthy nation is, to say the least, moribund. So also is a nation of unfit persons, unable to engage competitively, and whose youth may not be capable of standing beside their peers on the global stage of sporting accomplishments. From what we have heard today, it is gratifying that our economy, as well as our finance and its collaterals, are on sound footing. Thanks to the indefatigable lady of knowledge with depth management skills, Dr. Kojo, live in themselves. I dare predict that in the next few years, Nigeria will be a veritable force in the sporting world. Thanks equally go to the Honorable Minister of Information for conceiving and sustaining this laudable initiative, to to the Permanent Secretary in the Federal Ministry of Finance and the Director General National Sports Commission and their officials and other officials in the Federal Ministry of Information who work tirelessly to ensure the success of this program, I say kudos to each of you all. To the gentlemen of the press, our able supporters in the social media, your ability to deploy your knowledge and skills for professional best practice and in the interest of Nigeria is equally commendable. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the third ministerial presentation, it is clear to all Nigerians at home and abroad, as well as to other stakeholders and foreign investors, that Nigeria has transformed under the able leadership of President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, GCFR. I thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Permanent Secretary. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow we'll be taking on the Ministry of Power, Petroleum Resources, and Mines and Steel. So you are once more cordially invited to please come and attend. Well, we started with prayers. We are going to end with prayers. So may we now stand up for prayers. Oh God, we want to thank you for this successful outing. We pray that you lead every one of us who has been here to their respective destinations safely. We equally ask you to see us here for tomorrow's event. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Thank you. National anthem, please. The national anthem, at the count of 3, we'll sing it. 1,